So what we're going to do next is actually to open the podium up, actually, to allow the three panelists to discuss some of the other broader questions concerning investing in China. I think actually we have spent quite a bit of time on China, but as I mentioned earlier, quite a bit on Vietnam. I guess there are other parts of China maybe we should at least discuss a little bit. I think that the next one I want to mention would be India. Certainly it's, if you look at the level, it hasn't reached the level that the China has reached yet, but nonetheless in terms of the growth rate, it's certainly catching up. It also has a huge population who probably precede China fairly soon to be the most populous country in the world. It also has quite a different development model compared with China's. I think that it's fair to say we're going through, I wouldn't want to call it experimentation, but certainly various efforts trying various different growth models. So I'd like to ask our panelists, I guess James, maybe you first, given that you've already done some business in India, to sort of share with us some views on the potential of India and the opportunities and challenges there.
Thank you. Thank you. Is this on? Can you hear me okay? I do have a client based in Hyderabad, India. They are in the e-commerce business, internet marketing. They're global, work in 40 countries around the world, but based in Hyderabad. So I was recently in Hyderabad looking at the high-tech city. It's pretty interesting. They have a big Google plant down there and a whole raft of high technology companies in a very modern Silicon Valley looking type of a development. But right outside the gate, the bulls are walking around and you're back to a crowded infrastructure, a little bit overtaxed by the population. One of the projects that I work directly on in India, though, is a power plant development project, 1,000-megawatt coal-fired power plant in Andhra Pradesh. And some of the issues that we face down there are so different than what we would face in China, in that the Indian system is based on the old British system of, the right to petition. So there was a lot of protests launched about the use of water at the plant. Abutters were able to, challenge some of the air permits, and it's very similar to the way it would be done here in the United States. There's a right to petition the permitting officials in the government in India. I think that's part of the problem they face as they try to catch up. They need a very they need to build up their infrastructure on the power sector. That's the sector that I know a little bit about, so I'd stick to that. And it's not as easy to develop it as it is to develop it in China. So they face a more I know I did some work with AES down there, another large independent power producer. Everyone faces the same challenges. It's not as easy to build as it is in China, and it's mainly because of the regulatory hurdles. Also, in China, there is the difference between China and India. There's also a large supply of pretty good coal in China. And in India, it's a little bit tougher to get at. They're also trying to import a lot of natural gas from down in from Australia and down along the Indonesian archipelago. So they're importing fuel. Their permitting process is a little bit more like ours, and it makes it challenging to develop infrastructure in India.
Albert.
Earlier this year, I took a study trip to India. This is February this year. So I have a few observations. First is that in East Asia, we very much operate on the model of the middle way, 中庸之道 in Chinese. So everything is sort of the center is the best. India is the complete opposite. It's the land of the extremes. The owner of a business sent a $40 million private jet to pick us up, flew to his project, and he owns 400 square kilometers of land in India, the largest private port in India, largest importer of coal in India, the largest private power producer in India. It's incredible. Something like that, it's very difficult to see it happen actually on a complete private basis in East Asia. Another observation I had is actually India's economy is very service-oriented. So 70% of the output is from service industry, whereas in East Asia, you'll probably find a higher percentage in manufacturing. So the Indians actually is a very strong attempt in terms of trying to increase the manufacturing component of the economy. And that could spark a lot of actually interesting exchanges between Asia and India, or East Asia and India. And then lastly, we were in a minister's office, and we arrived 3 minutes earlier, so we were sent to one of the staff's room to wait for a little bit. And it was interesting. This is like the movies of the 50s. So a Indian staff in the ministry and just chopping papers. So I think in terms of the bureaucratic reforms that still needs to happen in India, I think that was very evident. In 2008 at APEC, I had a chance to ask Minister Mentor Lee Kuan-yew a question. And then in it, he actually made the observation. India is the largest democracy in the world. But he said that in a democracy, you cast your vote. In India, you vote your caste. So that structural difference, he thinks that will be a challenge. And the Indians will need to take advantage of it, I guess, or make some reforms. In manufacturing, the caste system, it also means that they're very willing to do what they have because they think that because they are in the lowest caste, this is what I was told from an Indian businessman, that they've done something wrong the previous life. So in this life, if you focus very much to do the very best that you can, then you will achieve a better life the next life. That is a mentality that we don't have in East Asia. Because of Confucianism is all about self-awareness and then to improve oneself. And so the philosophical thinking is actually profoundly different. Thank you.
Thanks, Albert. Ms. Wang, do you have some comments on India? Or
Yeah. Obviously, I don't have too much personal experience with doing business in India, but I had attended few conferences in India. Obviously, from the culture aspect, it's totally different between India and China. I could make such comparison. But also, I have former colleagues of mine. We were working at the World Bank in the same department, same office. And he's now the chairman of Indian Development Bank, become our counterpart. So for the supposedly Indian Development Bank is the similar bank as China Development Bank to invest in infrastructure. But he came out from the World Bank, also happened to be the infrastructure financing entity. So he was obviously very frustrated last time I met him in Beijing. He said the government input in infrastructure development was not there. And also due to the privatization, private ownership of the land, it's very difficult to make it happen if you want to build a road and you want to build something on the land. The land acquisition process takes forever by his standard. So, of course, the service industry Albert just mentioned in India, by looking at the statistics, growing much faster than the counterpart in China. And of course, due to the education system, the official language they use, and also the talent of India. A lot of people educated overseas, they also went back to their home country to start their own business. I think that it was very good development in India. But talking about the infrastructure development, to our experience, this is the determining factor for sustainable development. So I think, it inevitably, made me think what kind of role of the government should play in the economic and social development, and what kind of relationship government should be posting themselves, versus market. Which part you let market play the important role, and which part government need to guide the economy or to lead the economy to develop into. So I think a lot of emerging markets are facing similar challenges. But talking about Asia, of course, when we talk about Asia, very easy to look at East Asia as the center of the Asia. But in the last few years, I had a lot of opportunities to go to Central Asia, which just beyond the border of Xinjiang region, used to be part of Soviet Union. That is also Asia. The mentality is Asian mentality, and the room for development is enormous because all these states are natural resources rich states, but the manufacture, capability is not yet there, and the land in some of the countries like Uzbekistan is very good, but due to the system problem, because they used to be part of Soviet Union, and at the same time so far away from the center of the Soviet Union, so the development actually were very much ignored, and the potential is very big. So if any of you would like to look at the investment opportunity, and you need to overcome a lot of difficulties, but that is the place also worth looking at. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Actually, I'm very glad that you touched on the role of government. I think if we were to compare, India and China, I think the growth model is quite different. China, coming out of a planned economy, certainly historically, government played a very important role. While India, the political structure is very different. But I guess one thing I would like to bring up, given that actually all three of you have had very deep experience in infrastructure projects, right? And it's understandably the development of infrastructure is important for the for the growth of that.